Welcome to the Elevating la Cultura podcast, a space where I talk with Latinas who are passionate about what they do and are willing to share that passion with others to change the narrative, especially for the next generation. Each season is centered around different topics, but all with the Latina perspective. Welcome as we continue with season 12 with a focus on women's health. It's going to be a great season, so let's get into it. Xochitl is the founder of Werk Mija, a brand that celebrates Latinas who unapologetically embrace their culture and individuality. Werk Mija's mission is to empower and inspire through relatable designs that honor our heritage and amplify our voices. Every design is crafted to embody the boldness, beauty, and resilience of nuestra comunidad. From Latina-inspired coffee mugs and cozy sweatshirts to statement-making t-shirts and vibrant stickers, each product reflects what it means to be unapologetically Latina, authentically you. At Werk Mija, you'll discover more than apparel and accessories. You'll find a celebration of identity, strength, and the journey that makes you uniquely Latina. Please enjoy round 2 of Xochitl being a guest on the podcast. All right. Hey, I'm excited to have Xochitl back on the podcast. We had her on season 4, so that was like 2022, like 3 years ago, and a lot has changed. We have collaborated with each other over the past 3 years, and I just wanted to have a chat about how your journey has been over the past 3 years, because I know a lot has shifted, especially as you entered your motherhood era and all the things. So why don't we do like a quick introduction for people who don't know you, which I don't know who doesn't know you because everyone knows you or should know you because you're everywhere. But go ahead and introduce yourself.
I try to do all the things, and that's why I love social media, so I can be everywhere at once. But my name is Xochitl. I am the owner of Werk Mija. We are an apparel brand and podcast for Latinas who unapologetically celebrate their culture through empowering and relatable messages. So I started the business in 2020 with one cafecito mug, our chingona fuel mug, because our love for cafecito is deeply embedded in our culture, and we've since expanded into t-shirts with positive affirmations like bet on yourself, mija, chase your dreams like you chase el lotero, no pares, mija, stickers, tote bags, and more. And so much has changed since we've had our conversation, from 2022 to 2025. That was like my second year in business, and it's just been kind of going up and down and up and down, and the entrepreneur life.
Yeah, and you have your own podcast, so I recommend people listen to the Werk Mija podcast, but you posted an episode that was really personal and talked about your birth story, and it really just touched me because I feel like it's not always talked about enough, especially in the entrepreneur space, the struggle, the balance that you have to have as a entrepreneur and a mother. And it's definitely something that I used to hide early on in my career, that I was a mother, that I did have kids. I didn't want people to know. I didn't want my potential clients to think that me being a mother would interfere with their wedding or their plans as like their photographer. And so I did a lot of hiding and compartmentalizing of my life until I shifted into what I'm doing now. And now like my motherhood journey is like alongside everything that I do. And if you do know what episode number that is for people to like go re-listen or listen to your birth story. I know I'll look it up and I'll post it in the show notes. But it's really like, I really appreciate your vulnerability in that episode.
Yeah, so that was episode 72 of the podcast. And that was kind of like my reintroduction back into the podcast, even because, so I got pregnant with my son I found out January 2024, and his due date was supposed to be September 20th of 2024, but he was born about 2 months early, end of July, on July 30th, 2024. And I feel like beginning of July is probably like my last podcast episode because pregnancy, I mean, if you're a mom out there, you know it is rough. It is tiring as an entrepreneur as well when you're a solo entrepreneur. So I feel like that was kind of like the last episode. And then, motherhood kind of took over. And it was just like, obviously, my son was born 2 months early. We were in the NICU for 48 days. And so it was navigating having a child under, emergency circumstances and, navigating NICU life as a mom, NICU life as an entrepreneur, which I'm glad I am an entrepreneur. So I could spend that time with him all day, every day when I needed to in the NICU, because I understand for a lot of parents, that's probably not a thing. You have to already with pregnancy and motherhood, you have to use your PTO and everything. So I was able to be like, hey, I'm here with my son. And that's just what it's going to be. After that, it was like, okay, time to bring him home finally in September. And honestly, it's not like, okay, he's 2 months now. No, he's a preemie. So with preemies, you're pretty much starting back from zero. So whatever his kind of age is, minus 8 weeks or minus however early they kind of came. So it's like, okay, I'm kind of got like a extra 2 months of newborn life, I would say. Added on, was that practice? I don't know. But then now we're navigating postpartum. And I think around the 6 months, I finally got back into it with the podcast. And I was like, hey, this is my story. This is where I've been. And maybe as like a creative, I feel like my content and even my podcast is almost like my form of art, my form of expressing myself. And, having done therapy, I feel like for me, communication and just getting it off my chest almost is like my own form of therapy. And just in general, I would have never really understood this kind of experience, NICU mom life, and just my form of pregnancy. And I know there's other moms I've related to who've gone through that. So I was like, you know what? Let me share my story for new moms who are maybe trying to navigate this as well.
Yeah, and I think that's so, like, as I feel like millennials, we are really into sharing stories because we have seen the value when we see someone else who we can relate to. Because it's not like, at least I did not have that growing up. And so now as an adult, I'm like, oh, well, if I'm going through this, someone else might be going through this. So let me share. And yeah, I just think that that is such a valuable thing when you are ready, like in that mindset. And I always say, like, okay, well, when I have worked through things in my own head, then I feel ready to share with other people or the podcast. So yeah, so how has that transition with navigating how you operate day to day as an entrepreneur shifted? Because like before kids, like you can work whenever you want, like, and it's just you and you're taking on all these things. And I think sometimes we don't realize how huge that shift will be. And especially for people who might be listening who are pregnant or wanting to get pregnant, like I think it's valuable to share how, like, what to expect, even though everyone's story is different. Like I think that there's just so much that we don't know until we're living it. So like I'd love to hear from your perspective, like how have things shifted in your day to day and as you prepare as a product business?
Oh, 100%, a complete shift in my schedule. And even starting from, I remember, I forgot who I was talking to and I was like pregnant and stuff. And I was just thinking about the business. I'm a solo entrepreneur, how we're going to kind of navigate, this. And I just remember like, oh, maybe like during postpartum, I can kind of check in here and there with the business and do this, blah, blah, blah. Ha, ha, ha. Okay. Getting there. Yeah. Okay. You do not realize how much taking care of this new tiny little human, no matter what your circumstances are, add in that whole NICU debacle. But even just regularly, right? This human depends on you, whether you're breastfeeding and or not. It is exhausting. I think that has been the biggest thing for me for parenthood. It's the sleep deprivation more than anything that makes it probably the hardest. I'm probably both and all parents, and honestly, I'm gonna speak for women specifically. I'm sorry, I don't care how much dad does, mom, especially if you are even breastfeeding or not, but especially if you are breastfeeding too, that is just physically exhausting. What do they say? Breastfeeding is like the equivalent of like running or walking your metabolic rate of like 7 miles a day or something. Like I was eating like an Olympic champion to like keep up. So just physically exhausting, mentally exhausting. It's the mom overload that you take on as well, because once again, yes, dad probably is helpful, but it's like, okay, and then we have to either prepare the formula, we have to prepare this, and like you're always, if maybe you're like me, maybe some type B moms are not like that. But there's just extra added onto your plate. And now the way I used to do things, it was me. So it's like, hey, I had to do XYZ. Let's go. There's an event. Totally. I can do that. Now I have to be like, do I have abuela coverage? If it's during the week, during the weekend, obviously dad can kind of take care of it. We're good there. But I have to think about coverage for my child more than anything. And I think it took me a while. The biggest thing was to kind of find not only balance, but some sort of quote unquote routine. Because, you have a child, there's really not a routine, but there is. In a way, you get to know them. You get to know like their habits. Maybe I would say don't count on naps ever. Don't ever count on a nap during the day. Like if you're trying to get things done, I'm not counting on a nap, because as soon as I count on a nap, it's just not happening. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't, so it's kind of like I am on also like mommy mode during the morning, depending what your schedule is, your childcare coverage is. I think that also kind of takes a huge effect on how you do things. So child coverage is freaking expensive. And especially for like abuelos or like millennials who have been begging for a grandchild, they also have to kind of remember that either they were the full-time caretakers or they had a grandparent for free or X amount, right, to take care of the child. Whereas millennials now, we have to decide, are we spending one of our partner's entire paycheck on childcare coverage? Is one of the parents staying home, to kind of take on that responsibility and offload that financial expense? Are we introducing daycare part-time, So for me, it was like, I can't afford that. Because basically what I would spend on childcare, it would be what I would make. So I was like, for me personally, I was like, might as well spend that time with my child. Everybody's different depending on what your options are, right? But I was like, once again, I'm thankful to be an entrepreneur, where I can kind of switch up my schedule that way. It's a pro and there's cons to it, obviously, because it's full-time mommy mode from like 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. sometimes. And then from 7 p.m. to like 3 a.m. I think I was on my Instagram stories the other day, 3 a.m. doing some polls for people. So I was like, by the time you wake up, maybe you can give me your feedback. But that's my time that I have when I don't have abuela coverage like today. It's a Tuesday and we are recording this at 10 a.m. I don't have Karina up at like the crack of dawn, but on Tuesdays and Thursday or Friday, we'll try to flip. I get to work during the day and it's great. But sometimes I want to keep working because of just the way that I'm wired, honestly. But once again, I want to make sure like I have my work time, I have mommy time. One of the things I also realized too is kind of being an overly ambitious person, the way that I work, my normal isn't a regular person's normal, right? I would say I'm kind of on overdrive normally. So now as a mom, it almost felt like I was like, man, is this my slowdown in a way where it's like I can't, kind of, just go and do things and get them done like I would normally want to. But also, I think I mentioned it before, I'm being more intentional about the projects that I take on, and how I work and when I work in general. But then I think that also kind of led me to just kind of realize a couple things where it's like, I can't work the way I could. And just mentally, I feel like now after having a child, I just can't mentally. I can't just easily turn it on and off because it's like it's hard to switch. When I'm in mommy mode, I'm in mommy mode mentally. When I'm in work mode, I want to be in work mode mentally. And I think because of motherhood, that really just kind of exposed my ADHD. And really that was the barrier to like I can't do things the way that I used to.
Yeah, I think things that we don't realize until we're in it is that as an entrepreneur, you don't have that 9 to 5 where you can just leave your job. Like you're always
Mhm.
thinking, like even if you're not in work mode or at the computer, like you might
Mhm.
be inspired by something that you see, or like you're always thinking like, oh, you pick up something and you're just like, oh, this is really cool marketing. How can I integrate
Mhm.
that? So it's like you're always on is
Mhm.
essentially like you're
You have
always,
that block of time away to
yeah,
be on.
yeah,
You're not at home. Because even with my husband, I was like, okay, after paternity, you're at work. You're at work. I can't call you up here to help me change a diaper or watch him while you wash your hands or do this. Whereas I'm working from home and during paternity leave, obviously, anytime paternity leave, any sort of vacation, my husband's a teacher, which I love for our schedule now. So he has summers off, he has vacations, but as soon as that vacation hits, I was like, all right, we're switching priority parent. You are stay at home dad during the day, but I work from home. And it's just hard when you hear the baby crying and am I a control freak? I don't know, but it's like, no, you do it like this. Or he has mamitis right now. He wants mommy. So I have to go hide in the back of my office. If I gotta pee, I gotta make sure like you can see across the hall as I like sneak over to the bathroom. He can't see me because as soon as he does, he wants mommy and starts crying. So it's, I've moved my office completely to the back. So hopefully I can just kind of hide and do my thing and just be in work mode.
yeah. I mean, that's something that you can add to your resume, ninja skills. That I didn't know that I would have to have ninja skills in my own house, but like
Mm-hmm.
nap times, you're sneaking out so you don't make
Oh,
like
yeah.
you don't wake them up. But yeah, even going to the bathroom, shower, like yeah, ninja
Mm-hmm.
skills. Um, but I think, like you said, motherhood kind of exposed your ADHD. And I think that is true for a lot of us when we become parents. We have to be intentional about how we operate. And that exposes a lot of things that we have not worked through yet or healed through, or whether that is mentally or through like emotionally, like all the things, because you realize like my actions directly are going to impact this child and affect them in ways that I don't know because I was affected in ways that I didn't know that are coming out now as I'm a parent.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Mm-hmm.
what was that process for you when you're just like, okay, something's got to change and I need to be intentional for the sake of my kid?
Mm-hmm. So I am 34 years old now, and I feel like almost like in a joking way, or just in general, I always kind of thought, I was like, do I have ADHD or am I just a Gemini? I just all over the place. I'm just a Gemini, picking up new hobbies all the time. And if anything, I went to therapy, and I feel like I'm kind of pissed at my therapist now because I was like, dude, like you could have just been said I had this. Why didn't you pick up on this? He picked up on the high functioning anxiety. So I was like, okay, we have that. And so I feel like what I was doing naturally to kind of create a routine, systems, processes, structures, working out, to kind of help manage my high functioning anxiety, that actually was helping manage my ADHD as well. Even from what I'm doing for a career, entrepreneur life, a lot of people with ADHD are actually entrepreneurs. Being able to manage your own schedule. I'm a night owl. So it's like I'd rather wake up later, start my day later, and work through the night. Because I'm an entrepreneur, I'm able to kind of shift my schedule, work in the way that works for me, right? So I feel like that's why I was kind of like, just kind of on the back end, I was like, it's the high functioning anxiety, which also I felt like was kind of a superpower for what I do. Is like, am I ambitious or is it just anxiety? Right. But I feel like as I kind of got older, I was like, I don't know, maybe. And it's funny because my husband is actually a special education teacher. And I think it was in 2023, he was getting his master's in special education. And because he just did his bachelor's in Latina studies. And then so he did his master's to get his teaching certificate and specialize in special education. And it was funny, we were sitting on the couch one day, and I guess it was like the lessons on, ADHD, autism. And so he's reading about ADHD. So he's on the couch, he's looking in his book, and he's like, hmm. And I'm sitting next to him, and he's looking at me like, hmm. And he looks back at his book. Hmm. He's like, babe, I think you might have ADHD. He's like, and he was like reading off all the things. I was like, oh, maybe, LOL, like probably. But we're managing it, so it's cool. Kind of kept that going. And then it was once motherhood hit where after I had the baby, that's when it was like, bam, all the systems, routine, structures no longer existed. No time for working out, no time for like healthy meals at that. Actually, I was eating pretty decently, but that was to keep it more for the breast milk. But in general, I was like, if I eat when I eat, like it's cool. And it just got overwhelming. It was getting to the point where it was so bad. Like if I received a text with way too much text on it, like I couldn't respond. I feel like executive function was just really bad. I felt I was going through a lot of ADHD paralysis where I just couldn't. And then also throw on top of all the hormones that come with, postpartum, hormones that come with weaning, which I didn't realize. So I was like, is it this? Like, am I like depressed? Is it the hormones? Is it the ADHD? It's like everything together. But I felt like I just wanted to cry because I just couldn't. It was harder than it should be. And it was hard already just with a child. But then it was like, okay, my husband's taking on those duties. Like now it's my time to maximize and to work. Especially once his summer vacation hit in like June. I was like, let's go. But then I would have my days and I was just sitting there and I just couldn't go. The focus was not it. And I think for me, it was just like screaming in my head, like, I can't. And honestly, it was just like, all right, we can't just physically naturally do this how we were before. We aren't going to have these systems, we aren't going to have these structures, we just have interruptions. And so I was like, you know what, let's just do it. And I feel like I was just hanging out on ADH TikTok too much. But in a helpful way, because I was like, how are people doing it? Because my ADHD won't allow me to sit down and figure it out. And I was seeing like the different routes people would take. So you can go with like your primary care provider, something quick and easy, or you can try to get like a psychiatrist, get a full on diagnosis. And I was like, I need to do this, but I can't sit down and focus enough to get it together, because I was like, do I want to go through a like primary care provider? Or do I want to, what route do I want to take? Let's even just figure that out. So I went to ChatGPT. I was like, hey, I need to figure this out and I can't focus. So I need you to tell me what are my options, break down the steps, and break down the steps for someone with ADHD. And really tell me what I need to do. So like, okay, you could do your primary, but I didn't want to do that because I was like, I don't want to go to my primary and then they're like, I'm not comfortable diagnosing you and wasting my time. If there's one thing I hate more than anything is someone wasting my time. And I don't have that much time anymore. So I was like, okay, so if we go the psychiatrist route, obviously you go through your health insurance. And then, but even trying to find and narrow down a provider through your health insurance, I'm like, who, what, reviews, where, I don't know. So I was like, break it down even more. Break it down even more. Like, dumb it down, because I'm going to lose focus and I'm going to leave and I'm not going to come back to this. So I had ChatGPT break it down like steps to even go in your Blue Cross Blue Shield portal, through your insurance. I think I found it was like, it linked it through like ZocDoc. And I was like, okay, here's the first option. And I did it. And I set up the first appointment.
Good old Chat GBT for helping us to break things down. One way we can use AI to help us through this life. But yeah, I remember when I was going through and trying to find a psychiatrist, the first meeting, I was just like, look, I know I need these meds, because it had been a period where I was off meds. And so I was like, okay, I know I need to get back on meds. And I was just like, look, this is what I need. This is what I want. let's do it. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember she was just like, yeah, let's just wait a little bit and
Mm.
let's revisit
Mm-hmm.
in a month. And I was about to crash out, but I was just like,
Uh-huh.
all right.
Eye twitching.
Yeah, exactly. Um, so
Well, that's the thing too. I didn't want them. I didn't want to come in. I didn't want them to blame all my symptoms on postpartum. Or two, I didn't want to say exactly what I needed because I was like, I'm not a pill popper. Like I know I need this, you know. So I didn't want that either.
yeah, well, I was a pill popper, so I I knew what I needed.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, the first time I didn't, and it was funny because I didn't know. So I went to my doctor, and she was just like, "Okay, you need to find a therapist," and she prescribed me my meds first. She's like, "But I'm only doing this for a year. You need to find a therapist." And so then I found a therapist, and I'm just like, "Hey, can you get me my meds?" And she's like, "No, you need to find a psychiatrist." And I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
again, like, yes, therapy was good, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, break it down. Like, what do I need? Because the majority of us don't know, like, who can
Mm-hmm.
give us what we need. And it's like a whole waste of time. It's like, as new parents, we don't have that much time as it is.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just trying to get by day. And if we have our time wasted, like, that is going to
I will
lead to a
crash out.
crash out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna
I'm
crash out. Oh,
like,
and that's the thing too. I did therapy and I think it was really good, like pre-baby. After a while, I was like, we're good, we're good. And I was like, I'm happy, we're good. Like, I think pregnancy wise, I was a happy little pregnant woman up until it wasn't good. So I was like, I'm chill, bro. Like, I think we're good. I'll see you when I see you, maybe postpartum. But once I feel like I found out I have ADHD, I'm like, one, why did my therapist bring this one up specifically? I don't know if that's not something they can diagnose. But two, I think I had kind of gotten to a point where I was like postpartum. I was like, should I go back to therapy because this shit is rough? But I was like, I kind of didn't want that therapy specifically because I get it. I like to talk through things. I like to process. I think it's good. But then I remember us seeing like specifically people with ADHD, there was like certain things where it's like I'm very self-aware or like I'm a get to the point person. Like I get sometimes in therapy. I understand that like I'm too much into it where it's like, okay, I understand you'd be like, how does that make you feel? I was like, can we get to the fucking point? Like, you know, and I think there is specific therapy for people with ADHD. Like, let's get to it. Let's, because of the way our pattern recognition, how we function, and stuff like that. So I was like, I need something different because I'm kind of getting annoyed with you because I'm self aware to the point where I need something a little bit different.
yeah, and I think that's the thing. Like, a lot of us first gen, second gen Latinos who were raised the way that we were raised, like, we are so self aware because we had to be when we were younger. And
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like the therapy can help in a way, but you have to come at it from a perspective where you're not also trying to help yourself and do the job of
Mm.
the therapist. Um,
Mm, yes.
and it's hard.
Uh-huh.
It is hard. So yeah, I think for me, I don't take ADHD meds, but I do take meds for anxiety and depression. And
Mm-hmm.
so it was like, okay, I need these meds in order to really get the therapy that, like, I can actually process what you're telling me, because
Mm-hmm.
I'm so high functioning that I'm just like, all right, why are we here? Like, just tell me.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah, and honestly, I feel like the ADHD medication is helping with the anxiety. I feel like anxiety hasn't been an issue since I've done the
Hmm,
ADHD medication.
that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So, anyone listening, we are not doctors, we are not
No.
therapists. We're just talking from our own perspectives. But yes, I do encourage anyone who might have an inkling that something is like a little off, like, just go talk to somebody and start getting answers, even if it is ChatGPT. Although, don't get too personal with
No, no,
ChatGPT.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
More than anything, figure out what works for you. Before, I feel like I didn't require the medication. I was able to, therapy was helpful. I was able to set up those systems processes. But motherhood for me is where I was like, I need something different.
Hmm. Yeah. So now that you are able to kind of have more clarity in the day to day and um, just get through everything with more ease. How has the summer months, the pop-ups, all of the new launches, because you have had a few new launches since you've
Tell me, why did all this, dude? I'm going, new, right around the time when I'm taking this ADHD meds. I am on fire. I
yeah.
fucking love it. I don't know if I was like, I didn't align that actually. We got some more shit coming, so it's working.
Yes, I've been surprised with
I
how
didn't
many
realize that.
launches you have put out since like in the past like 6 months even.
Oh shit,
Like,
yeah, right.
girl.
Okay, so actually, so I started. So that was the thing. So my husband went on vacation, June, mid June, and that was probably like the start of, it feels like a revival, right, in a way. So that was when the United for Immigrants kind of movement happened, where a bunch of, people aren't aware, a bunch of small businesses, Latino owned businesses, got together and committed to donating 100% of the proceeds from a sale on June 21st. And that just aligned perfectly because I had been wanting to launch our social justice collection. And we started with stickers. So that was our Chinga la Migra stickers, fuck ICE, Tu lucha es mi lucha, and Educating Mujer is a radical mujer, since like January, since new office took over, right? But obviously I had the ideas. I just needed to finalize and execute these designs. And I was like, it's go time. Let's do that now. So we're that has just been a really great collection, a much needed collection in general. Stickers, I have been selling more stickers this year than anything. And just even in general, people love stickers, our regular stickers. So I feel like the summer kind of kicked off kind of, I feel like my comeback in a way, like my comeback where it felt like myself as a comeback a little bit more. But I think it was end of July, when right before my son turned 1, when I was like, okay, I'm gonna seek out help, and I'm gonna get on these ADHD meds. I've been having it on my to do list, and I was like, not this month, not because then it's also, I was like, do I have to go in person, childcare? Once again, how are we gonna do this? Has to align with abuela coverage. Sometimes abuela likes to go to Mexico for a month, and then it's just me. And then how do you stop, take time, and do something for yourself? That was the biggest thing. So it was actually the day after my son's birthday, July 31st, when I started officially taking the ADHD meds, because I felt like myself, but there was just still something missing. I could start work before the ADHD meds, but it was still the focus. It wasn't fully there. I still had those paralysis. Once, yeah, ooh, I'm gonna notate that. Once I took it, honestly, it was like, you want to get it done. One, I get the motivation to get things done again. I was starting to think like, am I depressed? Like, what the hell's going on? Is it lack of motivation? Is it burnout? ADHD burnout. There's burnout and there's ADHD burnout. That's like a whole nother one, because I feel like I would get into these almost like manic modes where it's like I am a couch potato, and then it's like, reorganize, purge, like at 3 a.m. or something. But this kind of helps me regulate those spurts of manic in a way. And yeah, holy shit, I didn't think about that. Yeah, since then it's been like, I was like, all right, we have someone who screen prints our shirts, but I was like, you know what, I want to launch and test out some new designs, so I'm gonna do the thing and finally just kind of do small batch presses myself so I can test out. And then it just turned into a whole, holy shit, we just print shirts all day because we have this and new collection and a new one and a new one, and I'm just churning them out in a way, just because I want to. No, it aligns, but honestly, it's like, this is the time. I got it. Let's do it. And I can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so after your social justice collection, you have just launched another one. And before that, wasn't that the mommy collection?
Yeah. So so we had the Mommy's Club for Mother's Day, and then in June it was a social justice collection. And then we introduced some of those products into like a tote bag, something bigger, because for anybody who doesn't know, if you want to check out our social justice collection after the United for Immigrants, I was like, I want to keep kind of donating and what would you call it? Supporting organizations that support our community. So I was like, moving forward, I'll try to do quarterly donations. And I wanted something local here in Chicago. So any products from our social justice collection, we're donating 20% of the net profits to the National Immigrant Justice Center. And so I was like, I need to be able to donate more. So I was like, let's see what's popular. Let's see what we can introduce into more products. So I was like, let's try a tote bag, one size fits all product. And now we're even moving on to t-shirts, because I know a lot of people wanted the fuck ice, chinga la migra on a t-shirt. And then I was talking with our amigas at Mestiza Shop, and they were like, hey, we need more Chicago Latina products. And I was like, you know what? You're right. I was like, if I can come up with something, I probably will. And then I sat down and I was like, hey, what if we did the Chicago flag? Because honestly, the Chicago flag is such a unique one, like for a city flag. I was looking up other ones. I was like, what is like, even for, no shade to like LA or anything, but I was like, what is like, say for LA, what's their flag? I was like, ooh, that's not cute. Like, that's not something you want to rep proudly. Chicagoans rep their flag proudly. So I was like, okay,
Even on
what if we
tattoos.
did? Yeah, tattoo, Chicago, everything. And so I was like, what if we did the flag reimagined with blue papel picado and, you know, conchas, right? I know that leans on Mexican, but I was like, Mexican Heritage Month. I'm sorry, I'm Mexican. When I think of my city, I think of food first. When I think of my Mexican culture, I think of food first. So now we have our Somos Chicago collection, and honestly, we're about to come up with some other stuff.
I'm excited about that. But I feel like that just goes to show when you take care of yourself, you're able to really focus and do more things well. Like sometimes we think, like you said, like I don't have time for this. Like I got to find childcare and I got to do this. But
I gotta find the energy.
yeah, exactly. But once we do, like it honestly will allow for more opportunities for us in our jefa life, but then also we can be more present in our mommy life.
Yes. And more than anything, now I'm like, man, imagine what I could have done had I started these meds earlier. Like, I'm an ambitious person, but geez, man, this is like a little,
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, you are on fire, and I love to see all the things that you're doing. So anyone who's listening, go check out Werk Mija products. Oh wait, you also just collaborated with a tequila brand. Girl, I keep pulling things out because you are on fire. You're everywhere.
Yeah, so we're collabing with Tequila Poderosa. They're a Latina-owned tequila brand, and so the owner is Beth. I've honestly been working her kind of on the side for creating custom merchandise. For first, it was her consulting firm, Zerimar Consulting, and then when she launched the tequila brand, so it was making custom bulk tumblers, mugs, stickers, and so she wanted to partner for a collection for merch that they can sell, because if you're a product-based business, it is capital intensive. So I can just imagine for a tequila-based business, it is capital intensive. So honestly, as a jefa, we're always thinking of different streams of income. So for her, it was like, let's do merch and let's give it that Werk Mija spin, because we're both, you know, leaning on women empowerment brands. And then for me, it was like I had been wanting to kind of do more customs in general for that extra streaming income, because we print our own mugs, we print our own stickers, tumblers, and now like t-shirts. I press some of those. So I was like, let's capitalize off of this machinery and kind of open up that door. So that's definitely like a whole new project as well that I'll be doing. Oh yeah, forget. And then probably like 10 other things.
Yeah, you know, as soon as I saw that collection, I saw it on their Instagram first, and I was just like, are they like, this looks like Werk Mija. Are they trying to rip her off? And then as I looked further, I'm just like, oh, it is Werk Mija stuff.
I'm so glad you recognize our style.
Yeah, because I mean, I own like a bunch of your
Most
tumblers.
Of the collection?
Yeah. I haven't been able to keep up with the new collections, but I'm trying to get my cart together so that I can be ready for the holidays.
Yes.
But yeah, I give you all the props. You are doing the thing, and we are still collabing for the Viva la Mujer event next year. So,
oh yeah, I collab with you too.
So
we've been collabing.
Yes.
Hefa
Um,
chats.
we did the Hefa chats last month and it
Yeah.
went well. Like, we are doing the thing. So for anyone who is like a mommy and a Hefa, like, it is definitely possible, but
Hmm.
it does require intention and
The right
make,
support systems.
yes, exactly, the right support systems. Um, so yeah, so before we leave, what advice would you have for maybe new moms or working moms, Hefa moms?
Honestly, since becoming a mom, I give so much credit to moms. Mommies are chingonas for real. Like, I've never realized, like, the fact that whenever I see a woman out there, whether it's running a business, whether it's just kicking ass at their career, and then I find out they're a mom, I'm like, girl, props, clap, get your flowers, because mommies are amazing. And I think that's why I wanted to kind of launch the Mommies Club collection. So it says the Mommies Club Cansada AF. I need to do one for the Jefas. I need coming next, coming next week. The Jefas Club Cansada AF. Actually, I've had that one in the back burner too, but it's true for moms. It's like you can, and I think especially just when you are in the thick of it, it's hard to see that. And I try to mentally prepare myself as much as possible because it gets hard, especially when you're dealing with postpartum depression. Um, that's, I think, when those thoughts kind of creep in. And the 4 months, man, 4 months sleep regression almost took me out. But I'm so glad that my husband kind of, once again, he was a teacher, so he started work, but he's like, let me just kind of postpone my paternity, which men can, right? And so he kind of did it a little bit later, so it kind of was able to, I think, worked out the best. When newborn phase honestly is nothing compared to after. So around like the 3 months to like 4 to 6 months, and the 4 months, it was hell. Sleep regressions, teething, all the things. And it was just hard. I remember just standing in my office inventory production room where I am now, as I was like trying to move everything over, and almost like just looking, staring at like my shipping station with like the Work Mija labels and the cards and supplies, and I was like, man, I haven't touched this. And just thinking, it's like, do I even care about this anymore? Am I even passionate about this anymore? Postpartum depression talking, and or ADHD, talking, paralysis. And I just needed to get out of that space. And you can cry, let it out. Let it out, cry. Oh, I've cried so much. And I think postpartum, I'm just a crier in general. But just cry, let it out. And I think the light will shine through. You can see the light, it's coming. I think after around like the 6 months, I started to feel like myself a little bit, where I was like, oh, I can take the time and put on makeup. For moms, they're like, what is it? I'm getting my pink back. When you're kind of getting yourself back, which honestly, talking to moms, it takes a while. So don't expect yourself to bounce back, whether it's physically and or mentally, more than anything, right away. Some moms, I was like, it takes 1 year, 2 years to really just feel like yourself again. And I think ever since kind of understanding my ADHD diagnosis, and then just understanding that, you know what, my brain doesn't work like normal people's brain works. I am neurodivergent. I embrace it. It feels like a weird superpower to me in a way. And I was honestly afraid to start taking ADHD meds, because I was like, would it turn me off? Does it turn the creativity off? I almost thought like, is the manic kind of my superpower in a way? But I was like, it's more controlled. My focus is more controlled. When I need to get things done, I can get things done.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. Great advice for anyone in the thick of it or getting to be in the thick of it or even like out of the thick of it but still in it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, so why don't you share where people can buy all of your new products, collections, all the things?
So any new Work Mija for our stuff, go to our website, werkmija.com, WERK Mija.com. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok at Werk Mija. And then if you're interested in the Tequila Poderosa collaboration, head on over to their Instagram at tequila.poderosa. There's a link for my ladies who want to drink for a purpose, because Tequila Poderosa, they are donating a part of the proceeds to breast cancer. So that was kind of the launch for breast cancer awareness. So right now they're doing a pre-order. If you catch this episode later, for October especially, and probably going forward, we specifically designed some merchandise for breast cancer awareness, and as well as, for the Poderosas, we have Baddies Drink Tequila. So when you buy Tequila Poderosa, when you buy their tequila, you can find them at Binny's, Moreno's liquor stores, different spots. You are drinking for a purpose.
Perfect. I love drinking, and especially if it's for a purpose.
Yes, there you go.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time out of the busy mom life to chat with me. I think so highly of you. I love working with you and collaborating with you, and especially with you and Xochitl as we plan for Viva la Mujer. So I know we will see each other soon. We got a big meeting coming up. But for now, I hope you have a good day, and we will chat soon.
Bye.
Bye. She has grown her business so much in just a few years. Go check out all of her growing collections. Thank you so much for listening. There'll be a new episode every Tuesday, so after you listen, feel free to take a screenshot, post on Instagram, and tag at Elevating la Cultura, or send me a DM. You can also comment on our YouTube video if you're watching online. I always like to hear from people and how they resonate with the stories that I share. So, leave a review on Apple Podcasts so we can get more ears listening to these stories and we can continue elevating la cultura. All right, enjoy the rest of your day, afternoon, evening, whenever you're listening, y nos vemos next week. Bye.